Most people treat warm introductions like a one-off ask. You need something, you reach out to a friend, and you hope for the best. The people who actually generate warm pipeline are doing this a bit differently, and they're running this system on a cycle. Small habits every week compounding that all leads into one big structured ask at the end of the month. I'm not about to just give you 13 random tactics. This is a system that repeats. So I'm going to give you all of these mapped into a 30-day, 1-month cycle. Some of these are going to be things that you do every day, every week, constantly, always in the background of your month. Some only make sense at specific points in the cycle, and by the end, you'll have a whole calendar. So before we jump into that monthly cycle, I have 5 habits that aren't tied to a specific week. They're the background rhythm, the things that you're doing continuously so that by the time you get to the end of the month, you actually have something to work with. 1 is the coffee chat close. You're probably already doing coffee chats or catch-ups with people in your network. Most people treat that like pure relationship maintenance, like nice to see you, great chat, let's do this again in 3 months. Here's the small change that makes this actionable. At the end of every single one of those chats, come with a small ask. Not just, let me know if you hear of anything, because that's this super broad thing that nobody actually knows how to action on. Something like, actually, do you know anybody at X company? If so, I would love an intro. 2, the engage before you ask play. This is social selling done right and not the version where you slide into someone's DMs cold and pitch slap them and hope for the best. Before you reach out to that target prospect, genuinely engage with their content for a few weeks. Comment on their posts, maybe even share to your own network the posts that are actually really good. And so then by the time you send that first message, you're not just a stranger, you're someone whose name that they've already seen a few times. 3, the job change trigger. This one doesn't wait for you, it just shows up when it shows up, so you have to keep your eyes out all month long. When someone in your network changes jobs, most people are just going to comment on that post and say congrats, and then they're going to move on with their lives. That notification for you is actually a new door opening, and maybe they're just now at the company that you've been trying to reach for months. Don't let it sit, just send them a quick message that says, congrats, I would love to hear more about what you're working on right now. It's a completely natural way to open up a conversation that might turn into a warm path a few weeks later. 4, the unprompted connector move. This one has no immediate payoff, which is why a lot of people are going to skip it because it's not directly attributable to your quota, but I personally think that this should be running quietly in the background all month long. Introduce 2 people in your network to each other with no ask attached. Just do this because you genuinely think that they would get value by simply having a conversation or knowing each other. If you do this consistently and over time, then ultimately you might become the person that people want to return the favor to. Think of it a little bit like relationship banking. You're making deposits over and over and over again before you ever need to withdraw money. And 5, the Forwardable Note. This isn't tied to a specific week either. It's just a standing rule for every ask you make all month long. Never ask somebody, hey, could you make an intro? Because that actually puts all of the work on them into making that intro. They have to think about who they know, who knows who, is this valuable for everybody? There's just way too much thinking that happens. Instead, write the actual note, the one that they're gonna send. Make it super easy for them to copy, paste, and forward that note. You've just moved one of the main frictions in this entire process of the connector thinking, how do I even phrase this? And you got that out of their drafts folder and sent off. So now once the daily habits are running, it's time to check in on the relationships that take just a little bit more work than a coffee chat. Number 6 is the customer advisory unlock. Most teams default to asking investors and advisors for intros and they stop there. But your customers often have better access to your target buyers than your entire internal team combined. If you've got a customer advisory board or standing QBR during this week, just go ahead and add that ask to the agenda. It's not a hard pitch, it's just a normal line item. You can just say, here's who we're trying to reach this quarter, any of them ring a bell. 7, the intro swap check-in. Find a company that's complementary to yours, not a competitor, just someone who sells to similar target personas or accounts, and set up with their team a standing monthly exchange. You share warm paths into your network, and then they'll share warm paths into theirs. Week 2 is actually a great checkpoint in the month to just message your swap partner and say, hey, here's who I'm targeting this month, what do you need? A lot of companies might stumble into this kind of thing once and then just never repeat it. Turning this into a standing monthly habit multiplies the effects. 8 is the gifting trigger. Somewhere in the month, someone's gonna make an introduction for you that actually goes somewhere. When that intro actually does go somewhere, and not on a generic quarterly schedule, but right when that happens, send them something small. Time it with the win. This helps to keep your warmest connectors warm. The people that helped you before are disproportionately more likely to help you again if they feel like their previous help actually mattered. Number 9 is the public call-out post. Midway through the month is the right time for this one, early enough that any responses have time to turn into real conversations before the month closes out. Make a post publicly naming the 3 to 5 companies that you're actually trying to get into. Something as simple as trying to get in front of the right people at these 3 companies this month, anybody have a connection. Caveat, because I don't want to give you any advice that doesn't actually work for you, but this only works if you actually already have a LinkedIn presence. If nobody's seeing your post to begin with, nobody's going to see this one. But if you've got any kind of engaged network, even a modestly engaged network, then this is the type of thing that takes you 5 minutes, and it might surface paths a lot quicker than if you were to ask everybody individually. So everything up until this point has been building towards the last week of the month. This is where it all gets collected and turned into an actual system. 10, the tagged prospect play. This one's more indirect than the call out post, which makes it work if a direct ask feels a bit too forward. Write a real post about a problem that your ideal customer genuinely faces, not like a thinly veiled pitch that loosely ties to something they do. Then you're going to ask a connector to tag your prospect in the comment section and just say, tagging you, isn't this interesting? Or, this reminds me of something you mentioned last time we talked. The prospect is going to show up in that comment section because someone that they trust tagged them and not because you went into their DMs cold. It's a completely natural way to get on their radar, and it gives your connector a low effort way to help you out without trying to go into this weird sales vouching for you. 11, the monthly batch email. Once a month, send an email to your cap table, advisors, and investors. Just ask them, here are 10 intros that we would love to get this month. Are you able to help with any? They reply with what they can do. You send a clean, forwardable note, same tactic as number 5, and it's done. What used to take 15 hours a week and a bunch of scattered one-off requests is now done in 10 minutes. Same relationships, same people who are willing to help. It's just now batched into a system instead of a bunch of random one-off asks. 12, the De-bottlenecked Ask. So this is the one that's going to make that batch email work at scale instead of stalling out. Every single intro request your team gets has to go through the CEO for approval. Then the rate of intro requests is going to move as fast as that CEO's calendar. Sure, it's fine for them to approve 10 intros, but what if you want them to approve 50 intros? The fix is not to cut the CEO out because their relationships are still the asset. It's delegating that day-to-day approval to a trusted operator. That could be a chief of staff or a VP of sales. That way the requests aren't stalling in the inbox during the week of the month that you actually need those intros the most. And 13, see broadly, activate selectively. One last principle to wrap up the whole cycle that helps to make this process repeatable. Map your network broadly, all month long, with customers, employees, investors, advisors, partners, vendors, everyone. Visibility should be wide, but don't try to get every single one of those people into that batch ask. Recruit a smaller, more aligned group to be doing the asking and the activating. Trying to get everyone involved creates this coordination overhead that quietly kills the entire operation. See broadly, activate selectively, and then start the whole cycle again next month. So that's the full 30 days. 5 habits that are always happening in the background. You have structural check-ins during week 2. You make a public ask during week 3. And you have a batch system that closes out during week 4. You don't need to run all 13 of these right now, starting today. Just pick where you are in the month right now and start with whichever tactic fits. If you want to see how the swarm actually helps you see this network so that week 4 is not a guessing game, I'll link it down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.